and welcome back to the She Shed. Today's tutorial is going to be making this poncho. So as you saw by the photos, you'll see that it is a shorter on the body but longer on the arms. And this yarn is gorgeous. It is super squishy, super soft, super lovely. So it also, you'll make it with a collar, and you can add buttons if you like. We make these buttons, and if you would like any, just let us know. We do sell them on our Facebook page as well as our website. And yes, it is gorgeous. So what is the yarn that I used for this? It is called Mandala Ombre, and it is just the most softest yarn. It is a 100% acrylic, 344 yards or 315 meters. It's a 150 gram ball, and this color that I used here is called Zen. Now I'm not going to be doing this tutorial using this color. The color that I will be using is this fantastic color here. Look at that. That is just so woo, so bright, so lovely, so soft and squishy. I love this yarn. This one is called Serene. So beautiful. You will require 5 balls of this. You won't use quite 5 balls, unless of course you're going to make it bigger, then of course you will need more. But 5 balls of this yarn, and it does say it is a 5.5 millimeter hook, but I am going to up the size to 6.5, which is generally what I do, but also I want to make it that more of an open weave and even more super squishy. So I'm using my 6.5 millimeter hook, which is also a K. And you will also need scissors, yarn needle, and some stitch markers. If you are interested in these stitch markers, we make these, and we have them available on our Facebook page and also our website. Alright, let's get this project started. To start off our project, we are going to be doing a rib stitch for our rib border, and we need to do a slip knot, and we are going to be chaining 6 plus 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the plus 1. For our rib stitch, we are going to be going into the front of our stitch where the V is, not the back where the little lumps are. So we are working each stitch in the front. Miss that plus 1 stitch and go straight into the V of the stitch, next stitch. Grab your yarn, pull it through, and grab your yarn and pull through the 2 on your hook, and that is your single crochet. So for our rib stitch, we are going to be using single crochet the whole way. Next stitch, grab your yarn, pull it through, grab your yarn, pull through the 2 on the hook. Into the next stitch, grab your yarn, pull it through, grab your yarn, pull through the 2 on the hook. And we continue this for each stitch. 4, 5, 6. On your last stitch, chain 1, turn your work, and you aren't going to be working into that chain 1, you are going to be working into the first stitch. So you go into the first stitch just like you did before, so we're working into the back of the stitch. So there's your V, go into the middle of the V towards the back. That's the back of your stitch. Grab your yarn, pull it through, grab your yarn and pull through the 2 on the hook. Same again, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Chain 1, turn your work, and you will be continuing this for every row for 120 rows. I count every time I do it to make sure I have my 6 stitches. It is quite easy just to pick up something along the way or not do a stitch in a stitch along the way. So just continuously count and work 120 rows, and when you have done your 120 rows I will meet you back here for the next step. After you have created your 120 rows of your rib, we are now going to put a stitch on the top of every single row in your rib, so that will make 120 stitches. And now it's going to be half double crochet all the way through the rest of this project, and you need to chain 1, and we are going to do a stitch in the top of every one of these rows. So yarn over, go into the top of the row, grab a yarn, pull it through, grab a yarn and pull through all 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over into the top of the next row, grab a yarn, pull it through, grab a yarn and pull through all 3 on the hook. And repeat this at the top of every single row. And rows are easy because you can see that's one row where it's up and the second row is where it's down. So up and down, or hills and ridges. So continue doing this, a stitch in the top of every row until you have created 120 stitches, and I'll meet you back at the end of this row. Once you have created your 120 stitches, chain 1, turn your work, and you are going to be working into every stitch half double crochet, and you will be doing this for the next 48 rows. Now if you don't want to keep counting every one of your 48 rows, you can go every 10th row, put a stitch marker, and then you only need to count 10, 20, 30, 40, as in 1, 2, 3, 4 stitch markers. Alrighty, after you have finished your 48 rows, I will meet you back here and show you what to do next. Now that you have finished your 48 rows, and get a load of those colours, isn't it just gorgeous? We are now going to do the 2 panels to go around the neck. So what you need to do is count in 58 stitches. On your 59th, put a stitch marker. Count another 4, so that's including that one. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you've put 58, next stitch a stitch marker. Count that as the first stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4. In your 4th one, put a stitch marker, and you should have 58 stitches left on the other side. Once you have done that, we are only going to be working 18 rows on one side up to the stitch marker. And then we'll repeat that on the other side. But to start off with, we're going to be doing 18 rows on one side. Doesn't matter which side you start on, but it's obviously the side that you finished with your 48th row. It makes sense. So chain 1, turn your work, and then continue your half double crochets all the way up to that stitch marker. So when you have made it up to that stitch marker, that will be your 58 stitches from the end to the stitch marker. So my stitch marker marks the first of the 4 stitches in the middle. So the 58 stitch is just the one before. Chain 1, turn your work, and repeat. And you will be doing 18 rows. So this is row 1, and now we're on row 2, and we're repeating for 18 rows in total. So keep working on that side for your 18 rows, and I'll meet you back here when you have finished all 18 rows. After finishing our 18 rows, we now have to repeat this on the other side. So you can see where the stitch marker is with the gap. That is where we're leaving a gap for the neck. So we have to repeat this process over this side. So end off your yarn. Conveniently, that was the end of the ball for me. So just pull your yarn through, and then turn over to the other side, attach your yarn, so find the very corner, and chain one, turn your work, and then it is a half double crochet for your 58 stitches for this side up to the stitch marker. So I made it up to the stitch marker, and you can see there's the 1, 2, 3, start again. So as you can see, there's the 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need to chain one, turn our work, and then continue on. And continue on doing your 18 rows all together. So we've already done one, and this is the second. So after this one, there'll be another 16. When you have done your total of 18 rows on this side, I will meet you back here for the next step. Now that you have finished the second side, you can see there's the gap for the neck. So what we are going to do now is do the next row across and fill that gap. So let's get that started. At the end of that last row, make sure that you're at the edge of your garment, not the neck edge. So here's the neck edge. You want to be on the other side. So chain one, turn your work, and then continue your half double crochets until you get to the neck. And now that you are back at the neck, you need to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that chain 4 is to mirror the 4 stitches down the bottom here. Get your other side of the neck and put your next stitch in the first stitch on the other side. So it's still a half double crochet, so remember, yarn over, going in, and then 1 all the way through. There we go. And then continue to the end of this row, and when you come to the end of that row, chain 1, turn, and continue your half double crochets until you get back to those 4 chain stitches that you did. And now you are back at your chains. We are going to put a half double crochet in each one of the chains, and yarn over. And I always go into the bottom, so the top is the V, the bottom is the loop. It's just a preference I have. You can do it either way. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then just continue on to the end of the row. And there you go, you have made your neck hole, and you have done your first row of the other side of your poncho. So we have done one arm, so this is going to go over your arm. There's your head, front back, or front back, and now we're going to be working on the other arm. So you've done the first row already, and now you are going to be completing the rest of that arm with 47 more rows to make 48 rows in total. So chain 1, turn your work, continue your half double crochets for another 47 rows to make a total of 48 rows for that arm. When you come back, I will show you how to do the band along the bottom the rib banding so that it matches your other arm. So I will see you after your 48 rows. When you have finished your 48 rows of the other side, we now have to match the rib that we started with on the side you've just finished. So how we do that is chain 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we are going to do the rib the same as we did before. So miss the first chain and we're going into the next one, and remember it's in the top. So put your hook in, grab your yarn, pull it through, grab your yarn, pull through the 2 on the hook. And repeat this all the way down, and you should have 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's just check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Excellent. Okay, so every time you come back down towards your edge, you are going to do 2 slip stitches, one in the first stitch and one in the next stitch. So the stitch that you've just finished working on, you go one slip stitch in this first stitch, so put your yarn through, grab your yarn and then bring it straight through the loop on your hook, and do a second one into the next stitch, grab your yarn, bring it through and straight through to the loop on your hook. And then you're going to go back on yourself, so you're going to miss those first 2 slip stitches, so that stitch and that stitch, and go into this stitch here, which I go 1, 2, 3 in the third one. That's where I'm starting my rib again. Okay, so you put your hook in and then continue doing your rib. So it's 1 stitch, 2 stitch, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Then chain 1, turn your work, and you're going into the second stitch, so not that chain but this stitch here, and continue your rib and count. I count every single time. It is so easy to either miss a stitch or add a stitch in. So it should be 4, 5, 6. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. And here we are again. So we've done those stitches, so we need to go into the next stitch and do a slip stitch, into the next stitch, do a slip stitch, so 2 slip stitches and 1 in each stitch. Count back, 1, 2, there's number 3. I'm going to go straight in there and continue my rib. And I'm going to go through this one more time with you and then leave you to it. So 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, chain 1, turn your work, and then miss that chain, go into the first stitch there. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now we're going to put the slip stitch in this stitch and then a second one in the next stitch. Count back, 1, 2, there's my third, straight in there, and there we go. Continue on. Okay, so I'm going to leave you to finish this ribbing edge. So you should have, when you finish, 120 rows of rib, and when you have finished, meet me back here and I will show you how we do the collar. Now it's time to do the collar, which is the last stage of this shawl, and pick which side you like the most. They will look different, and pick the best one that you like. I'm picking this side. It's got more variance in it, so I like that. And we are going to do a split collar. So the split for me is going to come there. I don't know why, I just like it like that, but you can do the split so it comes this side, and you work your way around and stop, and there's a split, and then you can decorate the split with buttons if you like. So I'm going to use our buttons that we make and put 2 of those on the collar. So this is doing the rib stitch again. You're going to do it exactly the same as the rib that you did just now on the other edge, and instead of doing the 6 stitches, what we're now going to do is 24. So get the end of your yarn. I'm going to start over here, right in this corner here. Pick where you like. Bring your yarn through, and we are going to be chaining 24. Well, actually we're going to be chaining 25 to have 24 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 23, 24, 25. I have my chain of 25, and I'm going to start my rib like we did at the end, and I'm going to miss that first chain and go into the second chain, and you just start your rib exactly the same. Okay, so I've got my 24 stitches, and I'm going to be going over my tail so I don't have to sew it in later. And where you place your slip stitches is purely up to you. How many rows you do in this, there is no hard fast rule. It's up to you how many you would like to do, but generally what I aim for is going at the top of every single row, so you can quite easily see where all those rows are, and I aim to get a stitch at the top. So when I'm doing my slip stitches, I'm going in the top of this one, slip stitch, go in the top of this one, slip stitch, and then remember counting back 1, 2, 3, and there's my first stitch of my rib, and then just keep going. So as I said, this is purely a decorative item. There is no actual function for it. It's not going to button up or anything like that. So how many rows you do, purely up to you. Try and make it neat and even as you go around. I'm going to leave you to continue with your collar and come back at the last couple of rows just to show you how to finish off and put the buttons on and show the finished product. When you come to the end of doing your collar, try and make it so that you can do the last row in the same stitch there as you did your first row, and then you'll get a nice, neat, tight fit. And then at the end of the row, now it doesn't matter whether you finish down the bottom or you finish up the top, but the ending is still exactly the same. Just cut off the end, pull it through, and then sew in your end. Now that your collar is finished, you can turn the collar over and you can wish to leave it like that, or if you want to dress it up, you can sew on a couple of buttons of any of your choosing. And there we are with the buttons sewn on, and here is a photo of the finished garment. Everybody, that brings me to the end of this tutorial. I hope you have enjoyed coming along on this journey to make this beautiful, snuggly, cozy shawl with fantastic colours. The whole range is beautiful, and I hope you have a chance to make this, and if you do, I'd love to see a photo of this. Share it on all my socials. You can do it on Instagram, which is lucky_platypus1. Facebook, Lucky Platypus. You can email me, you can put it on my website, whatever you would like to do. I'd love to see your finished product. Anyway, everybody, have a fantastic time. I look forward to seeing you again here at the She Shed sometime soon. Have a great day, everyone. Goodbye.